Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us for our pitch day today. Um, could I please make sure that everyone's able to hear me and see me as well? So in the chat, if you could please just let me know really quickly if everything is all good on my end. Perfect. Okay, amazing. I'll start by sharing my screen. Oops, that's not the right button. Okay, perfect. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Circuit Stream's Game Design Pitch Day. Today, we are celebrating the graduation of our amazing game design students from the September 2025 cohort. Today's event features several industry professionals who are keen to hear the student pitches, plus several of our recent graduates from the Game Design Bootcamp, and then, of course, people in the chat who are future students, current students, and anyone else. And with that, we will start with housekeeping. So a few things before we begin today. Today's event will be approximately 2 hours long, though only our guest speakers and students will be able to come up on stage to speak. All other attendees are welcome to participate in the chat. So please feel free to ask questions, give comments, feedback, and anything else. Throughout the pitches, we will be playing some embedded YouTube videos, and these will be played at full volume on our end, but please be prepared to adjust the volume as we go through the slides. And lastly, a reminder to our guest speakers, just on the right-hand side here on the Livestream platform, under the speakers bar, please just drop any comments or chats that you may have just to keep internal communication a little bit more centralized and the general chat for anything else. With that, let's get started. So hi everyone, my name is Mahnur. I'm the Partnership Development Specialist here at CircuitStream, and ultimately my job is to help our students in our career program get a little bit closer to their goals by ideally getting them hired and building out their professional networks. I have brought in a few guest speakers from several different companies. Some of them are gamers themselves, some of them are more on the design side, and my hope is that this is an opportunity for everyone to network, connect, and just chat about the gaming industry. Just a little bit of the event schedule. So we'll just start off with a kickoff, some introductions from our career coaches, the instructors, and then of course the guest speakers, talk to you a little bit about the capstone project, the graduate pitches, and then lastly we will wrap up. So a little bit of a background on us. CircuitStream began in 2015 through a network of developers, designers, and creators, and we are now a leading provider of tech education in game design, game development, product management, and software development. Our primary goal is to provide future-proof and industry-relevant skills to folks looking to pivot into tech, upskill, or learn about the technical aspects of the industry. And then our secondary goal is to prepare our bootcamp graduates for jobs in their preferred industry through events, one-on-one connections, and engaging with our network of employer partners. Since our start in 2015, we have now educated over 50,000 learners globally, and we are constantly updating our curriculum to stay ahead of the curve. Just some further background on us. We are partners with some top universities across North America to provide tech education for both of our adult and youth learners. In parallel to the technical program, we also offer the career program to our students, and this program provides ongoing support for students who are keen to start job hunting right after graduation to make sure that they are prepared when it comes to finding a new job. And throughout the program, we are committed to supporting our students with their careers, personal development, and anything else, and we take pride in providing opportunities to connect our learners with our industry partners and networks. With that, I will invite Emma on stage to just talk to us a little bit about the career program.
All right. Hi, everyone. My name is Emma Falante. I'm one of the career coaches here at CircuitStream. I've been working closely with quite a few of our game design students as they've gone through this program. And my role here as the career coach for the students is to make sure that during the program, they develop a solid career foundation, working on things like their portfolios, their resumes, their interview skills. So that way, by this point, by pitch day, and by the time they start job searching, they're feeling super confident and prepared to start applying for roles. We also support the students for around 6 months post-graduation, just to make sure that throughout their job search process, they're approaching it from a really strategic perspective and that they're able to find the support that they need as they transition into a new industry.
Thank you so much, Emma, and thank you for your work with all of our students. All right. Okay. We'll just hear a little bit from the game design instructors. So we had two instructors that were teaching these courses, one for the Pacific time zone and then one for the Eastern time zone. I would like to call Brian up on stage. Brian is one of our game design instructors. So Brian, if you could just join the stage and talk to us about the students that you've worked with, what your experience was like kind of having them join in the beginning of the cohort when they didn't have a lot of experience, and now until the end where you're able to watch their pitches and kind of their process.
Yeah, so when these students joined the class, they largely didn't have any experience either in programming or game design, but they all were very passionate about developing games and kind of bringing their own creative visions to life. And I'm happy to say that they went from, again, having zero experience to really impressing me and catching me by surprise in terms of how quickly they picked things up, how quickly they learned, and really just how talented they became in such a short amount of time. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And thank you for all of your work that you've been doing with our students.
My pleasure.
All right. With that, if I could have our next instructor, Michael, join the stage and kind of do the same thing, share about the students that you've worked with.
Yeah, my name is Michael, one of the game design bootcamp instructors. And going on that journey with a lot of the students who many of them had never touched a game engine before, and seeing them go from zero to making these full-on game prototypes, complete with documentation and everything, is amazing. And I'm always, I know I shouldn't be surprised, but I'm always surprised by the quality and the caliber of work that students put out, especially going from, some people go from zero knowing absolutely nothing. Some people know a little bit. Some people maybe know some art. Some people maybe know some writing. But regardless, we're always able to meet people where they're at and help them on their journey to the pitch day, which we're all here for, and very excited to see what students came up with. Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Michael. And thank you again for being so in touch with our students and just helping them and meeting them where they are at. All right. Okay, we will start off with our industry partners. If I could just have our speaker, Thai, join the stage and share a little bit about kind of where you work and your role and what your day-to-day looks like. Sorry, if you're talking, we're not able to hear you. Not yet. Okay, we'll just move on to our next guest speaker and then see if I'll let you figure it out in the back end. Okay. So our next guest speaker is Tony. Tony is running a little bit late, so he'll join us in a minute or two here, but Tony has been a part of our programs at CircuitStream for a very long time. Tony is also a mentor with us, and he has been meeting with some of the students from our previous pitch days and just kind of being a support for them as they kind of navigate their way through the industry. So Tony will join in a little bit, but thought I would speak on his behalf for now. And then we have Flynn. Flynn, if you're able to join the stage and just share a little bit about what you do.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Excellent. Hi, everybody. My name is Flynn, and I am an instructor for Unreal, or game development in Unreal Engine for CircuitStream. Besides that, I've had a long career in indie game development, so I've worked in different game studios in Toronto and Halifax and other parts of Canada. Right now, my wife and I have our own game studio called Cicada Games, where we're working on our debut video game in Unreal Engine. And it's been a great path. One of the best things about teaching, or getting the opportunity to teach, is I'm privileged to see people at a really young age, like grade 11s and 12s, work with Unreal Engine for the first time. And in there, it's amazing to see how they take such a complicated program and use it to make such diverse projects. One student will make something completely different from another student. And it reminds me why I got into game development, because in this wonderful world of game design, the possibilities are infinite. Thanks, Manor.
Thanks, Flynn, and thank you for being an instructor with us for the youth courses especially. All right, and just our last guest speaker for the event today is David. Whenever you're ready, David, please join the stage and share about what you do as well.
Hi there. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Cool. I was hardware muted. So,
Yeah.
my name is David Buffard. I am a game designer at Skybox Labs. I've been in the industry for about 10 years. I've been a game designer for 3. I started out as a mobile QA, and then I gradually worked my way up to game designer over time. Currently, I'm working on Fallout 76 for Skybox, and yeah, that's what I've been doing for the past 3 years, and that's my experience in the industry with game design.
Amazing. Thank you so much, David, for being here with us.
Thank you.
All right, I think Ty's microphone is working now. So Ty, whenever you're ready, please join the stage. We'll try this again.
Sorry about that. Can you guys hear me now?
Yes, okay, amazing.
Oh my God, thank you. Hi, I'm Ty Liu. I'm a technical animator at Epic Games. I've been there for around 3 years now, and previously about a year during my internship. I'm also a indie, I guess, solo dev-ish on the side, working in game also in Unreal Engine, and happy to be here. Very excited to see how you guys work. Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us today. All right. Okay, those were all the guest speakers that we had here with us. I'll talk to you a little bit more about the program and kind of what we offer for anyone that's in the call here with us that is looking to join us. So the Game Design Bootcamp is a 30-week intensive program where students explore every stage of the game creation process, from concept development to player experience. They don't just learn design theory, but they build interactive prototypes, collaborate in teams, and gain hands-on experience shaping gameplay, level systems, and user interfaces. Throughout the program, they receive continuous career coaching, like Emma was mentioning, mentorship, and one-on-one guidance to help them transition confidently into the industry. At the end of the bootcamp, every student was challenged to bring their creative vision to life, from initial concept to polished prototype, and the goal was to design a compelling and playable experience that showcases their design thinking, storytelling, and artistic direction. Whether they worked individually or in teams, they applied everything they learned, from level and systems design to UI UX, player experience, iteration, and just a variety of other topics. And they did this to produce a cohesive game concept ready for industry feedback, which is Pitch Day here today with us. So as we get into Pitch Day, I would like to let you guys know that we have 3 students presenting with us today. So first off, I would like to call Beatrice up on stage to walk us through her game called Before Your Turn. So whenever you're ready, Beatrice.
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, thank you so much.
Okay, awesome. Hey everyone, I'm Beatrice. You can call me Bia. I'm a game data analyst exploring a transition into game design, and I'm the designer and developer of Before Your Turn. So before we talk about the game, a little bit about myself. I was born and raised in Brazil, and I moved to Canada in 2019. I've always wanted to work in games, which is why I originally studied engineering for my undergrad. Then after moving to Canada, I completed an MBA in business analytics, which eventually helped me transition into game analytics. So today I'm an advanced analyst at EA, and I'm currently exploring a transition into game design with particular interest in systems design. Okay, so let's talk about the project. Before Your Turn is a top-down survival game with roguelike elements set during a zombie apocalypse, where players must manage a spreading infection while searching for a cure. So players take on the role of a survivor who has just been infected. Actually, you can go to the next slide. Players take on the role of a survivor. They must explore the world to gather resources and locate the components needed to craft a cure before the infection completely spreads. If the infection fully spreads, the survivor turn and the run ends. So the idea is that on the next run, players would continue with a different survivor. Actually, if you can go back to the previous slide just for a second. Just talking a bit more about the different aspects of the game. Another important aspect is that there's also a day-night cycle, and it directly influences enemy behavior, as you will see shortly in the demo. But before we get there, if you go to the next slide, I wanted to briefly talk about the design goal behind this project. So as someone interested in game design, in systems design, I wanted to create a game built around interconnected systems that drive meaningful player decision. So the core idea is that every decision, whether it's exploration, combat, or like resource management, it comes with both risk and reward. So players are constantly forced to adapt their strategy based on the situation they're facing. Now, I can't talk about this project without mentioning some of my inspirations. So Don't Starve inspired the survival loop and the overall tone of the game, so like the tension that I'm going for. ZombiU inspired the idea of continuing the experience through multiple survivors. Classic survival horrors like Resident Evil and Silent Hill influenced the resource management and the environmental storytelling aspect. And then finally, the TV show Kingdom inspired a key part of the enemy behavior, which again, we'll see shortly in the demo. Now, speaking a little bit about the development process, it broke the project into two main forming phases. The first phase was concept development. So even though I had the idea for this game for a while now, it was only earlier this year that I started putting it into paper. So during this phase, I created the DGG. I did some market research, looked at other similar games, and refined the core concept and pitch. The second phase was pre-production. So the goal here was to implement a first pass of the core systems, build a simple level so that I could get a playable prototype up and running to start testing. Third phase was production. This is where I expanded the game by adding new systems, refining existing one, and continuously play test it and iterate on feedback. So this included creating systems like the infection system, like improved combat, AI behavior, and level design. And then finally, the final phase focused on polishing and balancing. So here I refined the player journey, progression, economy, and the overall game balance, while continuing to iterate on player feedback to deliver the capstone prototype. Okay, so now let's watch the demo video.
And before you turn, players take on the role of an unnamed survivor who has just been infected. Upon waking up in a shelter, a mysterious voice on the radio claims they know how to craft a cure. To survive, players must explore the world, gather resources, and locate the 3 key components before the infection takes over. One of the first items players receive is a mysterious radio device that allows them to monitor the infection's progress. The infection constantly spreads over time, and if it reaches its maximum level, the survivor turns and the run ends. Managing the infection is one of the game's core mechanics. Players can find infection suppressants items throughout the world to temporarily slow it down. This creates a constant tension between exploration and survival. The journey begins in the forest, a relatively safe area designed to introduce players to the game's core systems. Through exploration, environmental storytelling, and notes left behind by other survivors, players gradually learn how this world works and uncover clues about the fate of those who came before them. One of the first things players discover is that the infected, known in this world as the Turned, fear sunlight. During the day, the forest is relatively safe, giving players time to explore, gather supplies, and prepare for what lies ahead. However, as players progress into the city, they learn that the Turned don't simply disappear during daylight hours. Instead, they hide inside buildings and dark areas, waiting for nightfall. This creates a shifting AI behavior that changes how players approach exploration. During the day, streets may be safe, but entering a building becomes a risk. At night, Turned emerge from their hiding places and begin roaming the world, transforming previously safe areas into dangerous territory. This day-night cycle forces players to constantly adapt their strategy, Do they fight? Do they run? Do they return to the shelter and skip the night, knowing the infection will continue to spread while they sleep? As players make their way into the city, they gain access to better weapons, stronger healing items, and more effective infection suppressants. However, these resources require exploration, and exploration comes with risk. Players must constantly decide whether to push forward their objective or spend valuable time searching for resources. Every system in Before You Turn was designed to reinforce a single idea. Every choice matters, and every decision comes with a cost.
Okay, so to conclude, I want to briefly discuss some of the biggest challenges and lessons that I learned during development. So the first big challenge was scope management. So from the beginning, I know this was an ambitious project, especially because I envisioned it as a roguelike experience with meta progression systems. So I had to carefully prioritize which systems were essential to validate the core gameplay loop and which features could wait until later. Another major challenge was enemy AI. So I knew from the beginning that I wanted zombies to only come out at night, but that also came with some interesting design challenges. So for example, I had to think where zombies would come from. I knew I didn't want them to spawn out of thin air in front of players. I wanted everything to kind of like make sense within the fantasy of the game. And that's how I came up with this idea that zombies are actually present during the day, but they're hiding from sunlight inside buildings or within the forest. And I turned these hiding spots into my spawn points. Now, implementing that shifting behavior between day and night, inside versus outside, in a way that felt believable required a lot of iteration. And then finally, balancing was another significant challenge. As a survival game, the experience needs to feel tense, but it can't be like overly frustrating, right? So unlike in my day-to-day work where I have access to a lot of quantitative data, I had to rely primarily on my testers' self-reported metrics, observation, and qualitative feedback to make balancing decisions. Now, talking about skills developed, when I started this course, I had very limited experience with Unreal Engine and Blueprint. And after completing this project, I feel much more confident in my ability to prototype and implement gameplay systems. I also gained meaningful experience, like hands-on experience designing and implementing those interconnected systems. And then finally, while a big part of my current role is analyzing playtest data and identifying opportunities for improvement, this project gave me the opportunity to be on the other side of that process. So actually like designing and implementing solutions, then testing and refining them through iteration. Now looking ahead, I'd like to continue expanding Before You Turn as a portfolio project. So one of the biggest things that I still want to add is the meta progression. So the vision of the game has always been that each run is played with a different survivor. If the survivor turns, their story doesn't completely end. You can encounter the zombified version of that character in a future run and recover the resources they were carrying. I'd also like to expand the world by adding the remaining cure components and additional areas for players to explore. And then finally, I'd like to introduce more systems to support that long-term engagement and make each run feel more unique. So this could include additional randomness, procedural elements, or other mechanics that create different challenges for run to run. So my goal really is to continue refining this project into a strong portfolio piece. Then professionally, I'm continuing to explore this transition into game design, and I'm always open to mentorship and industry connections. Thank you very much. I'd be happy to answer any questions. And here's my contact information if you'd like to get in touch.
Amazing job. That was so well done. Love the demo
Thank you.
video and then the eerie effect that you had going on the entire time. So amazing. You
Mhm.
did such a good job. With that, could I have the industry speakers join us on stage and just give Bia some feedback, ask any questions about her development process, anything like that?
I'm not sure we all have to go at the same time, or should I wait for my
No,
turn?
no worries.
I think I think you had the demo. It looks like a lot of system interacting with each other at the same time. I think the most impressive part is the AI. I love the idea of it. I guess all the zombies hiding in the dark when you were exploring during the light, so there's still tension there. That was one of my worries, and like in most of these games, like roguelites, I imagine very high kind of like adrenaline all the time, and I was worried that during the prep time and then the action at the night, it will become like a stale versus like action packed. But the tension was very great. I do
Yeah,
have a
thank you.
question
Mhm.
for the roguelike mechanics. Aside from, I'm guessing, because you said making a level first, I assume the world is not procedurally generated. It's a set
It's
level.
Yeah, exactly. Right now it's a set level, but
Mhm.
the vision for the game is that there would be some procedural elements. But again, since I had sort of like limited time to work on this project, right, for the course, that's something that I didn't prioritize. But ideally, I would like to add some procedural elements to kind of like create this run-to-run variability, right?
Gotcha. Okay. My question to you would be, what would the roguelike element enhance the core of this game? The way I'm seeing it is that it's like a very tense survival experience, and how would the roguelike element enhance it?
Yeah, so essentially, the idea is that it would enhance this tension, right? Because essentially, if you die, if your character return, it's kind of like permadeath, right? You restart from the beginning as a new survivor. You lose all of your resources. So the stakes are very high. But at the same time, I don't want it to be like so punishing that you absolutely lose everything. So the idea is that you could go back to where you died. You'd find your previous character in a zombified form, and you could kill them to kind of like retrieve your resources. My idea is that's where sort of like the meta progression would come in.
Gotcha. So then I guess my next question would be, if you can recover your previous equipment and or fight your, I guess, previous self, would that make the map not procedurally generated so that you can still be able to track where your previous body is? Or would it be like yourself but in like a different level or something?
Yeah, so my idea is not necessarily that the map itself would be procedurally generated, but maybe like other elements. So actually, I don't know if you're familiar with the game Swords of Ditto. It's also kind of like a roguelite where you have this idea you're playing with sort of like different heroes. And when you die, you restart or run, but it's like, I don't know, 100 years later. So like the map is the same, but like there are a lot of elements of the world that change. So my idea was more like, yeah, maybe like the map is kind of the same, but maybe you're gonna see like some differences in the like the state of the world, or like obviously like I don't know, the location of items, things like that.
Yeah.
If that makes
Okay.
sense. Yeah.
That makes sense. I think that makes it even better. As I
Cool. Thank you.
Yeah, if that's the case, then awesome job. I'd love to see
Thank you.
the evolved version of the game in like the near future as well. Good job.
Yeah, thank you so much.
David, did you want to speak, or can I go ahead?
I can go.
Go ahead.
So, first things first, I'd just like to say I think you did a great job. I'm a huge survival horror fan. I'm also a huge fan of roguelikes. I like Binding of Isaac a lot. I have like 800 hours, 900 hours. So one thing that I've always been like looking for, and something that I've personally like looked into in terms of designing a game myself, is a roguelike sort of survival horror, like combining those two elements. I think you did a really good job with like the base idea. And as I was like watching the video and your explanation, every time I like had a question of like, oh, But if your infection is like rising, won't that get kind of annoying? Like, is there something that you can use to like decrease the amount of time or decrease the infection? And then every time I had like a question like that, usually like in the video you were like, oh, you can find something that'll decrease your infection. So you really thought of like how all these different systems interconnect and stuff like that. So, you know, major props to you for that.
Thank you.
Yeah, I every time I like had a point, I was like, but how would, you know, one thing I would say, so I have two questions. I know you had like limited time to work on this, so there's obviously things that you would like to do that you just maybe didn't have time to do.
Mhm.
In terms of enemy design, so with survival horror and especially roguelikes, the big appeal, like part of like a like the load bearing pillar of those games is like the enemy variety, the enemy design, right? Because you're going to be replaying the same thing over and over again, and then the core loop is going to be fighting enemies. So they need to be like really fresh and like interesting, right? So it doesn't get old very quickly. So is in terms of like enemy design right now, is there any variety, or are they just sort of the standard zombie like
Yeah,
in terms of like
right now they're
attacks?
all the same. Yeah,
Right.
right now they're all the same, again, for simplification.
Yeah,
But yeah, that's
of
something
course.
I have thought about as well. Like, oh, maybe I wanted to have maybe like a boss type enemies, that would be like protecting the cure components, or maybe like different types of zombies. One idea that I also had that I made, that I'll try to implement later on, is maybe like, so right now zombies, they only if they hit you, they take your health, right? I was like, well, maybe some of the zombies will also increase your infection level, like with add a little twister. And then maybe you also have, I don't know, some type of armor to like to fight that. So things like that. I do kind of want to play with different enemy types.
Yeah. So my suggestion is that, because you said you're going to continue to work on this as like a portfolio project outside of this particular course, right? One of the things, and you listed a couple of things that you would like to work on and expand on. I think one of the things to tackle first maybe is looking into like finding a variety of, like, it doesn't have to be a lot, but a couple different things that enemies can do. So for example, different things will like push players in different directions, because an enemy behavior creates a problem that the player needs to solve. So you could have enemies like, for example, like Left 4 Dead is a good example of having a variety of enemies that do different things to push the players into different scenarios to handle. So for example, like an enemy that spits and then puts area of effect on the ground. And like you said, maybe that wouldn't damage your health. Maybe that would damage or increase your infection. So that enemy pushes you, it sort of controls the zone and has you running around and avoiding areas and stuff. And maybe the consequence of being in that puddle of goo or whatever is that your infection rises. So it's not an immediate damage to you dying, but it sort of pushes you to do different things and avoid certain areas and things like that. And then you can, reuse that same mechanic. And then, like you said, it's going to be the same map generally with like different ideas. You can have certain things like, reusing the same mechanic of like the puddle of goo on the ground that the enemy can spit. You can have it so that that's already there. Maybe like the enemy is dead on the ground for environmental storytelling, and there's a puddle there. So if you're trying to enter a building, you have to like navigate around that, and then you can have enemies on the side. So now you have this new problem to solve where you're like, oh no, like I'm being sort of funneled into this area where all the enemies are, because I have to walk through this thing that's going to damage my infection. And then you have to make a decision of, am I going to go try and fight these enemies, or am I going to walk through the puddle and just, tank the damage to my infection, right? It creates a lot of interesting systems and things like that that puts players in difficult scenarios they need to think their way out of. My second question was that, in terms of roguelike games, a lot of the time you gather resources and you gather items and you gather weapons and things like that, and then you die and then you lose them. But one of the things with those loops is that sometimes there are ones that you can unlock permanently. So that way it doesn't feel like every death is sort of like futile, because there's nothing more frustrating than having like a really good run and then you die right at the end and you don't really have anything to show for it. It's nice to be able to be like, well, okay, I died, but at least I unlocked this thing that's going to help me out in the future. And it doesn't necessarily like need to be with players all the time, but you can have like sort of like an item pool, so that maybe there's certain things that, you know, if you achieve certain things or win in certain ways, you can unlock an item, and then you're not guaranteed to always get it, but it'll appear in like the item pool of things that you can find in the world, right? So
Mhm.
you know,
Yep.
maybe you can unlock a shotgun, and then now you have a chance to find that shotgun when you're looting or when you're looking around and things like that. So that way, even when you're dying and you're sort of, you know, repeatedly, you know, losing runs, you're still
Mhm.
accumulating some sort of progress. That could be something useful.
Yeah, no, for sure. And actually, one thing I thought about was, okay, maybe, like you said, maybe there's some like main objectives that you don't have to redo. Like, oh, once you get a cure component, that's like permanent progress, and you don't have to redo every single thing, right? So yeah, I think that's a great point, and definitely something that I do have to think about. Yeah, thanks so much for the feedback.
Thank you, guest speakers. Thank you, Bia, for your amazing presentation today. With that, I'll have everyone
you.
on stage as we get ready for Gustavo. Gustavo, whenever you're ready, please join the stage. Sorry, you're muted, Gustavo.
Sorry. First of all, great job here. I was a big fan of your project from day one. So really happy to see the final prototype here today. Hi, everyone. My name is Gustavo Fernandez. I'm a visual effects artist with over 15 years of experience in traditional CG pipelines like Maya, Houdini, Nuke, etc. Drone Squad Commander started as a capstone project and evolved into a real-time simulation prototype with fire that spreads, drones with rear inertia, and animals that react to danger and can be guided to safety in real time. Next slide, please. Thank you. So the problem here is emergency response and drone operations are difficult to test in the real world. Live exercises are expensive, difficult to repeat, and often accessible for smaller teams. This project explores whether interactive simulation can become a faster way to test ideas and train scenarios. So the prototype places you in control of a drone operating across a spreading fire. You navigate 3 connected terrains: a forest, a farm, and a small town. Rescue, suppression, navigation, all under pressure. Everything shown here is captured directly from the prototype. Some of the technical depth, the fire propagation controls how the environment evolves. A 6-degree of freedom flight model handles the drone movement. Behavior tree control rescue interactions. And Niagara drives a visual simulation layer across different environments. The goal is to make the simulation feel responsive and not too scripted. So the process, 20 builds over 5 months. I wanted to include one slide about the process because one of the biggest takeaways for me wasn't the final prototype. It was realizing how organic development can be and how a project can change shape and direction as you start testing and connecting all the systems. We had about 3 to 4 weeks on the earlier Unreal prototypes assignments, but for the capstone, we had around 17 weeks, which created enough room not just to build features, but to also experiment and test ideas. January was about building the foundation, like controller input, drone movement. February, we introduced the core interactions like navigation, rescue mechanics. March, we focused on overall presentations, cinematic moments, polished the materials, atmospheres, lighting, etc. April was all about connecting those systems and optimizing the performance and adding the training layer, which I removed at the end, but it was good to have for a little bit. And May 2nd was the final submission. Playtesting became a big part of the process. I love the experience of having my classmates playtesting each build and giving me honest feedback. I also had industry friends playtesting and got them to screen record their sessions and send it over to me, which was fantastic to see where they were getting stuck, lost in a map, or frustrated with the fire. So I could address these issues first before implementing anything new. And I think the biggest thing I'm taking from the course is realizing how powerful rapid prototyping can be. Getting ideas into a working state quickly enough that people can test is a great skill to have. So beyond the prototype, the capstone focused on the wildfire response, but as the systems came together, it started to open up other possibilities, like different mission scenarios, purpose-built drones for specific missions, multiple operators working together and against each other. Those ideas are implemented features on this build. It's just a concept showing all the possibilities. I'll now play a quick clip of the gameplay.
From the beginning, the goal wasn't just to build a playable level, it was to create a fully functional prototype that could suggest a larger simulation framework. The control system was a priority from day one, designed around a simple Xbox game controller for rapid interaction while maintaining full keyboard support. We explored multiple mission directions early on, but ultimately chose Wildfire Response because it created the strongest environment to test navigation, decision-making, and interacting systems under pressure.
Not a training exercise, rookie. You're going into the eye of the firestorm, so to speak. A drone is expensive equipment. Avoid the trees and watch your height. You'll have to navigate the forest, the farm, and then the town.
I'd worked before with fire simulations in Unreal for cinematic projects and knew we could make it look convincing. But to build a full level around it, we had to expand and end up having 3 zones. Start at the forest, move to a farm, and finish on a small town.
This is serious. We are talking about human lives. Check out right and left, the drop zones for the long.
The fire trigger's based on the drone distance. It ignites as you get close, which keeps the frame rate clean and lets the detail budget go where it matters. Fine embers, heat distortion, the full particle layer. Each environment introduces different rescue mechanics built around the same interaction framework. In the forest, deer are identified and tagged from the air, triggering herd behavior that guides them toward a safe processing zone. Horses invert the interaction. Once tagged, they begin following the drone and must be escorted to safety. In the town, the focus shifts to human response, clearing evacuation routes, delivering supplies to trapped civilians, and extracting injured survivors from rooftops. Signal range, battery limits, navigation, and rescue decisions combine into a system focused on interacting behaviors rather than scripted events.
Nice work, team. You proved yourself out there, rookie. The hard work paid off. Pilot, get us to the
This
next
prototype focused on wildfire response, but the systems were designed to be flexible, opening possibilities for new mission types, new drone roles, and new ways to explore real-time operations.
Okay, so everything shown here is available to explore. The case study goes deeper into all 28 systems with blueprints, screenshots, and live captures, and also a downloadable build if you'd like to try the prototype yourself. Although the capstone focused on the Unreal prototype, I kept exploring the idea afterwards, and built DSS Suite, a set of browser-based drone swarm simulations, testing different types of scenarios from wildfire response to tactical situations. Different contexts, but using the same way of thinking. Get an idea, build a prototype, and start testing it. If you work in simulation, prototyping, technical visualization, or interactive real-time systems, I'd love to connect. Thank you very much for your time.
Thanks, Gustavo. What a beautiful presentation that you have here. Everything is so incredibly thought out, the sound effects, how it works every time you click on something new. So great job on all of your efforts.
Thank you.
With that, could I please have the guest speakers join the stage and just give some feedback, ask any questions about the game to Gustavo.
Should we go in the same order, guys?
Go ahead, Flynn, since you're already here.
All right. All right, wow, Gustavo, that's really blew me away. That's a lot to get done in just 30 weeks. I'm really impressed. And obviously, it was like all the, there's so much fire. It's really intense just to watch. So I think it's really visually appealing, you know. And the trailer already gives you a good idea of what you're going to be doing in the game. I wonder, from this point on, are you thinking of expanding the idea into a portfolio piece or into an actual sellable product?
I'm not sure yet. I spent the last month and a half just testing with Cursor and just trying different prototypes using a browser.
Yeah.
Just to see what I can get, but I don't know. I'm open to possibilities. I haven't shown anyone yet the prototype. I haven't posted anywhere. But yeah, it depends where it goes. Right, kids during the process, we're kind of, is it a simulation tool? Is it a game? We're kind of like going back and forth at. And so Brian, our instructor, he guided us really well to kind of find like the sweet spot between the two.
Yep.
Well, yeah, whatever happens, if it turns out to be a game, I'm open to that as well. But primarily, I think it was more like a training tool or like a simulation kind of exercise.
Yeah, in fact, I recently did some work for a company that was doing workplace training in Unreal Engine. So we were making similar products to this, where you would be able to experience, everything you needed to do to know how to do a job in a safe environment that doesn't, put anybody in danger. So I can definitely see how this project would be very applicable to that space. If you are going to expand it into something sellable, I already think that it has enough in it to be a complete experience, especially when you show the different drones and those kinds of things that you can have. My advice would be to focus on refining rather than expanding, because I think that you already have enough there to refine it into a really good experience. If it's still just going to be a learning experience for you, like you're going to continue experimenting with Cursor, then my advice would just be to let your imagination run wild and see, where else you can take the idea. Thanks for sharing, Gustavo. I'm really impressed. I'll pass the mic over to David.
Thank you.
Hi. Yeah, I think this is really cool and it's really great. Definitely would work as a portfolio piece if you wanted to do that. Could work as a full game. I really like the idea of like a rescue drone and things like that. It's pretty intense, but it's also like pretty wholesome. You're just like going out and saving animals and saving people. It's pretty feel good. I guess like if you were gonna make it a game, like what would be the failure conditions? Like the drone is damaged or destroyed. You mentioned something about like running out of battery power. Is there a way to like recharge that, or does that mean that you have a time limit to complete the level? That sort of thing.
Yeah, it was. There's the battery. Basically, right now the battery is just kind of a timer of the whole mission. So when the battery ends, that's the end of the mission. But we had other systems like the distance. Before, when we started the prototype, we had like a agent that'll deploy the drone, and you kind of switch back and forth between the agent. But that's why I think the playtesting was awesome, because people were getting confused. They were switching back and forth, didn't know what to do with the agent, so we eliminate that. But when we had the agent, we had a limit of the distance between the drone and the agent, so the drone wouldn't respond if it got to a certain distance from the third-person character. So we eliminate that. But now, if you get too close to the fire, it makes damage, and then you die. Right? Basically, that's what makes you die right now.
Yeah. The visual effects and stuff of the fire is like really cool, really crisp. One thing that maybe if you wanted to like continue to expand the idea or like continue to just experiment and play around with different things, it'd be kind of cool to see like an underwater one. I think that would be neat. That would be pretty fun challenge of using an underwater drone to do a rescue or even like repair like a ship or something like that. I think that would be really cool. But what you have now looks really good. I like it.
Thank you. I like the repair. I didn't think of that. That's a great suggestion. Thank you.
I think I kind of agree with Flynn, as in you probably for like the final product, you would want to start refining and polishing the current level that you have. Maybe add one or two more. Repair sounds pretty fire, and I guess I really like the idea of putting this as a training tool because the most impressive part about this project for me is like the different behavior between like the animals that's in the environment and then the human, like different way to approach like a very complex situation in like a fire kind of rescue mission. And if you could invest more on that, making those situation, I wouldn't say more complicated, but more, I guess, nuanced and more realistic, there will be such a fantastic, I guess, training tool for, I guess, drone operators everywhere. Yeah, but really love it. It looks amazing, and I guess
Thank you.
way more focus on polishing would be definitely the next step I would take. Yeah.
Also, just wanted to add, just think of the failure state and just be careful with that because some people might not want to see like, animals like burn like
Oh
burning
yeah, we
horses.
don't have any,
Yeah.
no animal or harm during the
So it's like,
production.
let players fail like gracefully depending on what you're going for with the presentation, things like that. But yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, guest speakers, for all of your lovely feedback. And thank you, Gustavo, for joining us today. And I hope you feel better soon.
Thank you.
All right. Okay. Moving forward to our last presenter of the event here. If I could have Stephanie join the stage with us. Hey, Stephanie.
Hi.
Are you able to turn your camera on?
It doesn't show an option for me to have it on for some reason. I remember I was on when I first joined the.
Okay, no worries. That's totally fine. We'll have you present your slides and then we can go from there.
Sure. Hello, everyone. Welcome to my presentation today. I'm proud to introduce you to The Parrot, a cozy first-person pet raising game. First, before we start, I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Stephanie Shi, also commonly known as TacoCat on Discord and other online platforms. I came from a theater, lighting, and sound design background. Another little fact about me is that I'm also a lifetime gamer myself. I would often critically analyze the game while I play. This further developed into my interest in game design and development. Now let's move on to the main course of the day. The goal and the problem statement. Have you ever wanted to own a parrot, but without the noise, the mess, and the risk of it judging your life choices? Parrots are expressive, intelligent, and full of personality, just like any other real pets. Parrots also require time, patience, space, and responsibility. The game explores the fantasy of having a parrot companion, but in a low-pressure way. The Parrot is a cozy first-person pet raising game. Players care for a small parrot companion inside a home environment. The core actions are feeding, giving water, petting, summoning, and monitoring needs. The player builds trust with the parrot through these repeated care and interaction. And a unique twist about the game is that the player can eventually experience the world from the parrot's perspective. The game moves from indoor care and bonding to outdoor flight and exploration. So for the core game loop, we have step 1, notice the parrot's need through the hunger, thirst, and happiness bars. And step 2, the player respond by feeding it, refilling water, petting it, or interacting with it. And step 3, the player would receive feedback through these movements, behavior, and UI responses. And last but not least, build attachment as the parrot reacts to the parrot's care. For the overall design goal is to keep the loop simple, but make the emotional payoff stronger over time. Here's a couple close-ups of the game. On the left, we have the parrot model with its status bar, including the need of the parrot. And in the middle on the top, we have a close-up look when the player summons the parrot. And right underneath that, we have the game's main menu and the UI design. And to the very right, we have a close-up look on the parrot when the player interacts with it. A visual indication will appear to provide a clear feedback to the players. And now I would like to show you a demo video of the game. Have you ever wanted to own a parrot, but without the noise, the mess, and the risk of it judging your life choices? The Parrot is a cozy first-person pet raising game where players care for a small parrot companion through daily interaction. Players monitor hunger, thirst, and happiness, then respond by feeding, refilling water, and interacting with the parrot. The goal is not just to complete tasks, but to build a sense of trust and companionship. I also implemented a summon system and random flying behavior to make the parrot feel more responsive and alive. One challenge was balancing behavior priorities. The parrot sometimes tried to answer a summon while also reacting to hunger, so I had to debug the AI logic, animation states, collision, and UI timing. The parrot is about care, companionship, and the joy of earning a tiny bird's trust. I hope you all enjoyed the demo. Now I'd like to share some of the development story of this project. Some difficulties and success. Let's start with difficulties. The first would be balancing the parrot's AI behaviors, like I mentioned in the video. The game is designed with multiple needs, which setting up a priority is essential for the game to properly operate. The priority I designed is water over food over happiness, which follows a basic survival logic for all creatures. I also had some issues with the UI timing and animation collision. I fixed it to the best of my knowledge using Unreal Engine. As I did not build the model by myself, I was not familiar with the animation and the bone structure of the model. Otherwise, Blender would be the best option for these circumstances. I also struggled with the outdoor level. Since I designed the game to be possessing the parrot's model, a lot of the control needs to be debugged and rebinded. Right now, I'm still working on that, so players and playtesters will not be able to access this part of the game in this current version 1 prototype. Out of all the difficulty parts, I'm proud that I was able to design and build a playable pet care loop. I was successfully connecting the parrot's need to its corresponding behavior, and to further enhance interaction feedback, I also made a pop-up floating visual UI indication. In conclusion, my biggest takeaway throughout this project would be understanding and mastering the Unreal Blueprint logic and being able to debug and troubleshoot in the blueprint. Moving forward, I have a couple plans and goals that I'd like to implement into the game. First of all, would be completing the outdoor parrot flying level, adding more personality to the parrots. So each parrot may prefer different food or ways to interact, making the parrot having their own unique personality. Meanwhile, updating the interaction feedback, adding sound effects and special effects. For example, instead of having a UI word indication only right now, having a couple red hearts popping out of the parrot to indicate a happiness increase. Full implementation of the voice interaction system, making the parrot being able to react to the player's voice. Similarly to the game 19 Dog, player will be able to record their voice and use that to give out commands to the parrot. Next slide, please. Thank you for listening. Here's my contact page if you would like to playtest my game or providing insights and suggestions, or if you wanted to be the part of the game development, please feel free to reach out to me. Thanks again. I hope you guys all have a great rest of your day.
Great job, Stephanie. Just amazing. You did such a good job on your project. And I know I've been saying that for all the students, but every game is so unique. So great job on such a cool concept. With that, I would love to invite the guest speakers on stage one last time to provide feedback to Stephanie on her game. Do you want to go ahead, Thai, first, since you have a meeting in a little bit?
Oh, yeah. I guess I guess first question, is parrot supposed to be short for something? I see it's like a acronym for
Yes, I do have that. I just did not include it in the presentation.
gotcha. Okay. I guess second, when I think of a parrot, I think like of the voice mimicking mechanic sounds weird for an animal, but I guess feature of that animal. Are you planning to also include that as like one of the future goal?
Yeah, definitely. Being able to teach them tricks such as calling them over or having them mimicking the voice is definitely a really fun part of it. But I feel like my priority should be hooking up the summoning system with the voice interaction first before I move further into voice recognition and voice calling systems.
Okay, gotcha. I would say the flight and the overall, I guess again with like every single presentation so far, the behavioral of the parrot you interact with, those in order for I guess a cozy game and really focus on interaction, to have like a somewhat sophisticated behavioral. And I think for the one that you have so far, looks pretty amazing, pretty great. I guess more interaction with, I guess, the food system and the happiness system, like how it changed the parrot, would definitely be, I guess, the next goal. Yeah, and I guess as of right now, do you plan to have, I guess, more type of interaction with the parrot? When I think about this, I think about like all the, I guess, pet related game out there that has, I guess, more resource management or like more activity that you can do with the animal, like indoor, outdoors, and such.
Yeah, I'm planning on to have the parrots like its random idle behavior, such as it would be chewing onto like furnitures and stuff. If you've been not like logging onto the game for a long time, they would be like sabotaging the home. So you have to be like fixing your furnitures and such, so on and so forth. And also, I'm planning on to have a close-up interaction with the parrot, like similarly to when you pet a dog in like 19 dogs. So you'll be able to control your hand with the mouse and then just petting onto the different parts of the parrot. And when you touch different parts, it will give you different reactions. For example, they don't like people touching their back. So if you touch their back, they might be biting you.
Okay, yeah, that sounds amazing. Yeah, I guess overall more interaction and more sophisticated behavioral, and that looks amazing. Looks awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Would you like to go, Flynn?
Thanks, David. I'll just follow up on what Ty was saying and say, obviously, great job for a 30-week project. You've already got so much done. And my advice to developers is often the same, which is that when you're at this point in your project where you've implemented quite a bit already, you have to ask yourself, do you want to expand or do you want to refine? And even though your game is you know, a relatively small concept, I think that you could take what you have now and refine it into a really polished experience. So if you have you know, feeding and grooming, and maybe if you add that speaking component that you're talking about, I think this is the kind of game that would benefit a lot from just polishing those key components to the game. And by polish, I mean adding in what we call game juice, which I'm sure you're familiar with by now. Just the idea of nice sound effects, camera shakes, controller rumbles, and particle effects, just to make the experience of taking care of that parrot as immersive as possible, so you really feel that connection. Because when you're taking care of an animal in a simulation like this, that connection to that animal is obviously the most important thing, in my opinion. So my advice to you would just be to take what you have and polish by adding in as much game juice as you can, so every action just feels as good as possible for the person that's playing it. Thanks so much for sharing, Stephanie. It already looks really great. I'll pass the mic over to David.
Hi. I really like the parrot. I think it's really cute. I would like to see like a different variety of parrots, like if we can get different colors and things like that. Or is it based on like a real species of parrot, or is it just sort of like a animated or cartoony sort of parrot? Because it'd be kind of neat to be able to like get different species or colors of parrots to I guess unlock, I suppose.
Yeah, I do hope to have actual species of parrots in it, and then the player also gets to choose a different color or like different genetics of that species of the parrot, but just so far limited to what we have right now, like as in the current 3D models. It is really difficult to accomplish that in the prototype. So I may have to build all those model by myself, which I did not have enough time for this capstone project, which is why I chose I would say, really similar to a real species of parrot model for this that has
Yeah, for
all
sure.
those animations and reactions already. Yeah.
Yeah. Just purely like what like Flynn said, when you're polishing it and stuff, that could be like an avenue of something to do, is like adding more parrot variety and things like that. One question I had is that I in the demo and in the explanation, you keep mentioning that you can take the parrot and you can fly out in the world from the point of view of the parrot. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Right. Like what when you do that, like what will the players do? Like what do they achieve by doing that?
So it would be more like an open world type of experience. So the player gets to like foraging and just exploring the maps around. They will be able to find some toys for their parrot, or they can be finding like worms or like food. So they don't have to be caring for their parrot just by feeding them water inside the home, but they can also like take their parrot out to search for natural resources that makes the parrot more happy, that feeds the parrot, or that, yeah, like just some interacting fun little items
Okay.
that's just
Yeah, that was my
in the
question,
wild.
was like how that would like play into the core loop, because it sort of sounded like a little disjointed, where it was like you have the loop of the hunger and the happiness and things like that, and then when your parrot's happy enough you can fly around, and I was like, okay, but how does that connect? They seem like two different scenarios, but that explains it. If you can go out and you can find your own food as your parrot and things like that, then that
Yeah, I feel like it's just like a different way of carrying it because not everyone is interested to just like feeding it inside a home environment. Some people would prefer to like search for food for their parrot, but then they can use their parrot's perspective so the parrot will be able to receive the care directly.
yeah, cool. Do you have a parrot? Like, is there a specific reason you chose a parrot?
I do have 2 parrots at the moment, and the reason why I did the game was that I really want to have a cockatoo, but they usually live for a really long time, which is pretty much a lifetime commitment. They live for
Mhm.
like 60 to 80 years, and I'm also currently living in an apartment, which is not ideal for large parrots like that because they can make noises up to 100 dBs, which, like, if you stay in the environment with anything that makes up to like 120 dBs, it would be actually damaging your hearings. So they need like a really big environment for them to be able to be loud sometimes. And it's also like a lifetime commitment. So I wanted to have it, but not putting that much commitment right now since I'm still searching for a job and trying to like settle myself. But I just sort of wanted to have that companionship in the meantime as well. So I feel like having a game like this would definitely benefit a lot of people like me who are not capable to provide them the right environment, the right amount of care and responsibility right now, but still be able to enjoy their companionship.
Cool. That makes sense. I like
And
that
sorry, my
story
parents
behind it.
don't speak.
Oh, your parents don't speak. Your parents don't speak. Because when I was maybe in the future, you can do one with like a hawk or something. Because it sounded like it was very geared towards like a hawk, where I don't know what the actual term is of somebody who has a hawk, and they have the glove, but they take care of the hawk, they train it, and then when they actually go out, and then they let the hawk fly and hunt and things like that. But maybe a hunting hawk simulator is not what you're going for, so maybe not. But could be fun. Falconers. Yeah, there we go. There we go. That could also be, for the sequel, maybe.
Yeah, definitely. It's hard to make them to hunt because they're usually the prey.
All right. Thank you so much, Stephanie. And thank you so much, Thai, Flingrose, Flynn, and David for joining us for Pitch Day today. With that, we'll just wrap up really quickly. So congratulations to all of our graduates. Congratulations, Bia, Gustavo, and Stephanie on the completion of your game design bootcamp. Now we'll just kind of wrap up really quickly here. So for anyone that's in the chat here that would love to join us and be part of any of the next future speaker engagements, please feel free to email me. My email is up on the slide. And thank you so much again to all of our amazing guest speakers for joining us today and providing all the amazing feedback that you did today for all of the students. With that, thank you so much, everyone. I hope you have a lovely rest of your day, and I hope we can talk soon. Bye now.